Hello, and this week's shoutouts go to Michael Kemp, Trevor Rodway, World of Mike Anderson, Zelo, Michael Kemp, Fleetwood, Peninsula Painting Projects, Hornby Train Spotting and Farming, Daniel Simpson, Trevor Rodway, Twice, Love Minis, and Basic Miniature Painting. Thank you guys for commenting on my videos. I will go in more detail at the end of the video.
Mind the gap.
Okay, so welcome to this edition 13 of Build the Classic Routemasters. Now there are some subtle changes that you may notice. First of all, the layout is slightly different. This is mainly because I now do the live build on the Wednesday in the evening on Twitch, and then this footage is used to create this edited version. And I felt the need to try to have more viewing area, so I've just changed the layout to make the other bits of information a bit more compact. Secondly, you'll notice I now have a toolbox. This is because I'm starting to feel the need to get a little bit more organised, mainly because I do more than one part work. So I want to just try and organise my little tools. And you will notice that the screws, rather than coming straight out of the plastic bag now, they will be coming from a converted pillbox. So all I do, once I receive the screws, I just transfer them to the pillbox. Other than that, things remain exactly the same. Now, we did like this magazine, but we can't get away from the fact that it is pretty much identical to issue 12. So there is a slight bit of excitement lost there. But we also know that the issue is going to be very good, so therefore we've rated it a 9, and there's the same number of parts as last week, more than 10, so obviously that's going to score 10 out of 10 for the parts section. So I'm just going to speed the rest of the bit up while I just check all the parts. So we are of course building the right rear suspension arm and brake mechanism, and we begin at part number 1, and to begin this we need part 13B, which is the suspension arm, and part 13D, which is the right brake mount. And you see that there is a specific way to put it in, and this will actually be lined in with some little lugs. And then you just fasten that with a CM screw. Okay, for section 2 you require part 13F, which is the brake cylinder. Now you'll notice that there's 2 screw holes and a little lug, and then the raised part of the right rear suspension arm has 3 holes. 1 is for the lug and 2 is obviously for the screw holes, and then you'll fasten that with a CM screw. Okay, so on to section 3, you require part 13E, the brake lever. Now this does line up with little lugs, so it won't go in the incorrect place. However, I will consider this semi-tricky, because you need to, if you actually put it in slightly wrong and then slide it in until it kind of fits into place, and it needs to actually go into part 13F, so you just kind of slide it in. Hopefully I'll demonstrate that properly. There. Okay, and section 4, we need to attach those with the screws. And really do look at the illustration in the magazine because we're using 2 different types of screws. Now, it's important to note that obviously all the screws start with an A or B or C or D, etc, etc. If you look at the last letter, it's either an M or a P, and this denotes what type of material the screw is going to screw into. So if it finishes with an M, you're going to screw it ultimately into metal, and if it's a P, ultimately into plastic. So this should help you. Now the upper screw, which is well near the top, that's a CM screw, so that's actually going to go into the suspension arm, whereas the DP screw lower down will be going into part 13F. Okay, so on to section 5, and this is a 2-part process, and it is the first part is 13G, the brake line connector, and it does state in the magazine there is a correct and an incorrect way. You need to place this on with the flat side up. Okay, it does state in the magazine to test fit the screw DP into part 13G, which we actually did that, and it does make a lot of sense. By the time you're fiddling around with springs, you know, to then find the screw's not going to fit properly, so it's always worth dry fitting. Okay, so the next stage is to fit the spring labelled 13L, and this will be connected with 2 different screws. But first of all, make sure you get the spring the correct way up. If you hold it to your eye, you'll see that one end of the spring is higher than the other. Now, as you look down on the model, you'll need the part that's higher up on your left and the part that's lower down on your right. This is because of the space that's been created by part 13G, the brake line connector. So once you've got that into place, obviously we've already fitted a DP screw into part 13G when we did the dry fit. We now need to remove that screw, place in the spring, and then reattach the screw DP. Now I only popped it in about halfway down. This is because as you tighten, it's going to move the spring at the other end. Then insert screw CM until it's tight. Obviously it's going to be held in place on the other side with a DP screw, and then you can fully tighten DP screw. Okay, so on to section 6, and we need to take the part 13J, the stiffener, and this is just simply a push fit fixing. The bottom end goes into the actual suspension arm, and the top end goes into 13J. Just like last week, line this up and just give it a firm but gentle push, and it should just kind of go into place. Now, just like last week, I actually had a bit of a problem. When you push the top bit in, it actually pushes the bottom bit out of the rear arm suspension arm. Just like last week, I'm very tempted just to pop a dab of super glue on there. I declined in the end because I think the part isn't actually going to be seen. Once we build more of this bus, if it becomes evident that it's obvious that it's poking out a little bit, I may just go back and pop some super glue on there, but for now I'm really trying hard to build this exactly as the magazine tells me to, so I haven't put any super glue on. Okay, so on to section 7, a lot less technical. We need to take the hollow brake line, part 13K, and we simply just slide that over the brake line connector 13G. Okay, so for section 8 we move to the narrow rear end, and we need part 13H, which is the bracket. Now this will line up, there's a little lug to line it in with, so you can't actually position it in the incorrect position. And then from the outside we need to fasten that with a DP screw. And note that we're fastening it to the bracket to a metal part, but the screw is a P screw, which is plastic, which tells us that the screw is going to bite into the bracket. Okay, once we've installed that part, we need to take part 13I, the control lever, and we need to attach that with the bracket that we've just installed using an EP screw. Now, it wasn't clear, I'm not going to mark the instructions down, but it wasn't clear exactly what position to put it in. But looking at the magazine, it looks like it runs parallel to the actual arm, with a little bit obviously sticking out perpendicular. What we've decided in the end is that if this turns out to be incorrect, and we won't find that out until future issues, just a little quarter of a turn of that EP screw and we can always adjust it, so we didn't consider that a problem. Okay, so on to section 10, and we need a second brake line connector 13G. We need to attach that to the control lever as you look at it on the right hand side, and again note there's a correct and an incorrect way. We need the flat side pointing downwards. You may notice that I did struggle with this a little bit. It was moving all over the place as I screwed it in. I just grabbed something just to steady it, in this case a cigarette paper packet. Okay, so on to section 11, we need part 13C, the suspension hinge. Now, because of the problem I had last week with the blocked hole, obviously I did check this part, and I'm happy to say that there were no blocked holes, so that worked perfectly. Now that will line up with a little lug on the suspension arm, and as you look at it, this will be fastened with 2 screws. At the front you need a FM screw because it's being fastened into metal, and on the reverse side, don't quite understand why there's a different screw, but you need HM screw. So on the front side FM, and on the rear HM. Okay, so the last section for this edition, section 13, involves putting the two dampeners, 13A, on top of the suspension arm. Now, it does fit very easily, and they're push fit. Now, you will notice on mine there's a little stud mark. This is obviously where it came out of the moulds. Unfortunately, no matter which way round I do this, one of those marks will show. However, I did discuss this with my Twitch viewers, and we decided that this will probably be hidden up on the final model. So we've decided not to penalise the build for any errors. But obviously, if it comes to the point where it will be on show, we will need to sand that down and repaint it. Or you could complain to Hachette. Perhaps they'd send you out another part. So nice and easy to fit. Just push them on and just be firm but gentle, and just pop that on, and they will hold on really tight. Okay, so here is the completed section. I really liked this. I was very happy. It actually got an absolutely terrific rating. The whole build took, obviously it slowed down a little bit because I'm building it on Twitch, so I need to go a little bit slower. It took about 45 minutes, but taking into account that it was an online build for me, that was well over 30 minutes. You know, about 30 minutes, so that's 10 out of 10 in that area. The instructions were quite basic, but not too basic. They didn't bore me. I found them of interest, and I didn't find any problems. So the overall mark for the magazine was 98%. Obviously we lost a mark for the overall feel because it lost the excitement, because it was the same as last week. However, that does pull the overall score for the whole bus in general up by just over 1.5 points to 89.23%, which I think you'll agree is a fantastic score. So after we finish the build, we like to kick back and read the magazine. To be honest with you, it was quite interesting. It was a nice article about power, but there wasn't too many bus pictures in there. So it wasn't my favourite, but it was nice. And then obviously once we've read the magazine, we come to my favourite bit, which is the coming in issue 14. And this I'm really looking forward to, because in issue 14 the rear axle is going to be fitted between the rear suspension arms, together with two cross pieces that strengthen the structure. So what this will do is it will join up, or what we believe is it's going to join up issues 12 and 13, and once we've completed those parts, we'll be able to, for example, fit on the rear platform that we built in a previous issue. And we're now going to begin to get a real good feel of what the bus is going to look like, and the size of it is going to be absolutely ginormous. So before we get into the comments, Chris from Buckinghamshire has sent me some lovely photos of his builds, and I love to see your builds. Well, I love to build this myself and share my my experiences with you. Equally, I love to see other people enjoying this model, and they were sent with such enthusiasm. He's really enjoyed himself. And I think that really does show through. It's really done. He's really presented these nicely, and I really did enjoy seeing these pictures, and I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. Okay, so on to another section that I absolutely love, the comments, and it's almost a shame I've caught up on the backlog of issues, because from next week I'll only have one video to read comments on, but not a problem. So Michael Kemp writes, not an easy build, the Routemasters, but the wheels are the easy part. Yeah, now I'm going to be slightly controversial and say, yeah, maybe they were a little bit too easy. I didn't get that much from them. There's certainly other issues where I got a lot more satisfaction from it. However, the finished result was very nice. Trevor Rodway writes, it's going to be a superbly detailed model, Penny. Totally agree, it's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm loving this more and more each week. World of Mike Anderson writes, hi Penny, lovely video as always. Don't worry about the other screws, Hachette always provides spares. It's not a production error. Having watched this issue, contains very fiddly parts. Can you confirm, are the rods metal or plastic? Would be great if it was metal, as would be a nice finish. This is in reference to the fact that I got quite a lot of screws left over. Normally I'm expecting one spare, but I get about 3 or 4 spare. So it's nice to know that other people, you know, that they acknowledge that's fine. And I'm very, very happy to announce that the rods are metal, and they're really, really nice. And Zelo writes, cool video. Michael Kemp writes again, not built that yet, waiting on my issues to come as I moved. And then Fleetwood writes, my Routemasters fix, lol, keep up the good work. And Peninsula Painting Projects writes, not my cup of tea, Penny, but you've done a good video here, keep it up. And that's a really nice comment, because it's nice to know that although the subject matter isn't enjoyed by everybody, you know, maybe they like to just sit down with a cup of tea, or, excuse the pun, maybe a cup of coffee if it's not your cup of tea, and they can still enjoy the videos even though they're not actually building it, or they're not interested in buses themselves. Okay, and the shout outs for issue 12, Hornby Train Spotting and Farming writes, thanks for the shout out. Absolutely no problems. If you're prepared to take the time to input onto my videos, I'm prepared to take the time to thank you. Daniel Simpson writes, I'm still waiting for issue 7, 8, 9 and 10. Got to say, I've had a nightmare with getting my issues from Routemasters. Now I believe that they had problems with the subscription issues. Some people were getting their issues 2-3 weeks late. Now I'm actually recording this on the 19th of April, and I understand that a lot of people have only just received their subscription packs in the last few days. It is a shame, because it's such a wonderful build, and I fear that a lot of people may actually have cancelled as a result. They've not cancelled because of the quality of the magazine. They've cancelled because of the problems. It is a real shame, and it saddens me, but I believe it's now been fixed, and obviously in a couple of weeks time the subscribers will get more issues. Trevor Rodway writes an edited post, are you building 2 buses? You state that you receive 1 issue from your subscription and 1 from the newsagents. Am I getting confused? A very good tutorial, easy to follow. Well, thank you, Trevor, that's appreciated. It's nice to know. Obviously if I'm making a tutorial that's too complicated, then obviously it's a pointless tutorial, so feedback like that is wonderful. Now I do actually subscribe and I buy from the newsagents. This is so that it's for 2 reasons. One is I can get the best of both worlds. I receive the 4 issues at once and the free gifts, and obviously I experience the problems as well that subscribers get, but also I get that joy of getting the issue every week. On a Wednesday I turn into a 4-year-old. I go running to the newsagents, and I get my magazine, and I go running home like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, hoping I've got my golden ticket. But the subscription issues, I'm actually using those for a separate project which I've now started to produce the videos for, and yeah, they will be regularly published. Trevor Rodway writes another comment: I build 00 gauge model railways, which, as you can imagine, involves various build skills, so I can see why you are so passionate regarding the Routemasters build. What a superb model this is going to be. I have the Sunstar 1/24 scale version. I cheated though, it comes ready built. Keep up the work, Penny. I really look forward to your Routemasters build each week. Well, that's lovely to hear. I like that there's somebody actually is enjoying this. That's the whole point of me making my videos, is to share my you use the word passionate. To be honest with you, the reason I'm so passionate is it's so easy to be passionate about this model. It's wonderful. I really do enjoy it. And the last comment, sorry, not the last comment, Love Minis writes, this one did look more demanding effort than the others. It was quite fiddly, all those various little parts, but it certainly looked nice and it was quite refreshing. And then Basic Miniature Painting writes, thank you loads for the shout out. So that's it, guys. I will see you next week. I hope you've enjoyed this build as much as I have.